All right. Good morning, AP Lit. It should be Thursday, the 23rd of April, last time I checked. I don't have too much for you guys today. There's an outstanding assignment that I made due Monday, I believe, or maybe Sunday would be nice so I could take a look at these essays, but the dollhouse essays. I included an open question prompt for you guys to just do one last summative reflection on a dollhouse under the auspices of this prompt that I gave you about an unsettling or traumatic event that propels a character on a physical or spiritual journey of self-discovery. And you were also asked to reflect on what new understanding of self he or she comes to. I want to remind you guys in that prompt that they don't specify you have to discuss the protagonist. You do have to write on a dollhouse, in spite of those other amazing works that are listed on that list that follows the prompt. You must write to a dollhouse. But you do have a little bit of selectivity and agency here. You could choose a character other than Nora, which is what I think be an interesting thing to do, because she's not the only one transforming, changing, and coming to new understandings of self or being ejected out of her comfortable box, right, by traumatic events. So anyway, consider that if you haven't already written it. A few of you have submitted it already, very impressive. But you guys have till Sunday, let's say Sunday, all right? All due dates are flexible. I hope it goes without saying, because we have no grading policy still from the district. Believe me, I'll let you guys know as soon as I hear anything, all right? If you looked at the agenda, which you always should before hitting the video link, you notice that for a do now, I'm sort of just having you guys check in with me. I'd like you guys to send me an email today or tomorrow, preferably before the end of the week. And I would like that email, as I indicated in the agenda, to address two questions. The first one, which everybody should answer, is do you have your AP textbook at home? All right. It's just yes or no. And I'm kind of using this communication to take attendance today. I want to see who is regularly viewing these video links and just make sure that everybody who wants to be involved here can be. All right. So do you have your AP textbook at home? If you don't worry about it. I'll figure something else out. The second thing is I included a list last class of people who were signed up to take the test, but the College Board sent me a communication indicating that they had not heard from you. You did not respond to any of their questions, or they just want you to check in with them because you're doing this all online. Makes me a little uptight because I'm not directly involved, but I want to make sure that I can do everything in my power and my job to set you guys up to take that test and take a crack at getting some college units, hopefully out of this class. So 2 questions there. And again, I'd like you each, please, to send me personally an email answering these 2 questions. Do you have your AP textbook? And secondly, if you're signed up to take the test, have you contacted the College Board? All right. And again, these are people who the College Board told me had not contacted them, but were signed up. Not trying to bust you out or anything, but I just want to make sure it's clear. Again, you guys, these people supposedly have not contacted Anthony, Esther, Jeff, Jessica, Kim, Maria, Mia, Nadia, Ray, and Alex. If you guys have since contacted them, since I indicated on Monday that you hadn't, good for you, but I thought I would just read that list out. And again, just do what you can to make some kind of contact, sign in, give some indication that you're alive and receiving the College Board's communications. All right. So A, do you have a textbook? B, have you contacted the College Board through the email interface that they've really busted their ass to set up and make convenient, in my humble opinion, for what it's worth. All right. Yeah, and I'm using that as attendance, as I said. So I'm sort of taking attendance today. Again, I just want to make sure everybody's getting these communications and bothering to click the video link. All right. How about that dollhouse? Well, perhaps y'all getting a little sick of it, but we're on the home stretch here. Let me just remind you the 3 assignments that are sort of outstanding right now. 19th century husband's letter to his wife, work, and then that attached essay by Atner on the other side of the slam door. All right, there's that piece, which is 140-point piece, the last thing in grading period 5. And then we have the book summary sheet for Dollhouse, which I've probably gotten a third of those. 30 of you guys have turned those in. So that's still sort of out there in the world that you need to deal with. Get that to me as soon as you can, please. But that goes on grading period 6. So if you're dealing with other stuff, don't kill yourself, but that's impending. You got to confront that one way or the other. And then, of course, this open question essay on Dollhouse, which really will be the last assignment, formal assignment that has anything to do with the dollhouse. And then we will turn our attention to practicing question 1, which is prose style analysis. So we'll go back to, I'm hoping, short stories, and then I'll give you a prompt. The 2 classes during the week will probably look like assigned a story on Monday, you read it and do the work, submit it. And then on Thursday, I give you a practice prompt, which you will do at your leisure over the weekend and get that to me. Just have that kind of pattern. If you have a better idea of how you would like to prepare, I'm open to suggestions. All right, but I think that will serve our purposes nicely. And I'll remind you which prompts we already wrote on for the prose style analysis piece, again, a little later. And I'll give you some sample essays that I thought were good for the dollhouse prompt on Monday. All right, but I want you guys to have already done that, please. I want to remind you guys that in that essay, you might want to review the symbol discussion that I had a week ago, right? It was last Thursday's lesson, about a 30-minute class where I just talked about the symbols. You guys, it's such an easy shorthand way to discuss a dollhouse, and I recommend that you avail yourself of that on this essay. Talk about it in terms of symbols. Link each chunk of what you're trying to talk about in the prompt to a symbol. I think you'll find that it offers itself up nicely for that. And as I said, it's a good shorthand way to get deep and rich and resonant with your discussion. Allude to these symbols. They're so surgically and delicately and deftly placed. Use it to your advantage. All right. And let me remind you what those symbols were, just real briefly. Yep. The season, Nora's nicknames, the macaroons, the dance performances by Nora, the mailbox and key, a symbol which shifts in meaning, Nora taking off her costume and the draping of the black shawl over the costume before she takes it off, the costume party itself, the dollhouse itself, and then the slam door, the famous ending of the play. All right, so review that if you will, and it's not a bad idea to hit your essay prompt. Okay, what else can I tell you? Yeah, just a final thought on Dollhouse. The famous media personality RuPaul, a famous drag queen, or at least he was in the late 90s when I was familiar with him. Apparently he's back on the scene. My wife assures me you guys probably have heard of him. He has a talk show, right? But famous drag queen, which is to say a man who dresses up in women's clothes. My understanding is doesn't necessarily want to be a woman, but enjoys dressing up in women's clothes. And he has a famous quote, right? Drag, of course, means to dress in, to gender bend, right? To dress in clothing of the so-called opposite biological sex or gender, however you want to define that, right? And his famous quote, which you probably heard, is RuPaul says, you know, it's all drag, baby. It's all drag. Which is to say that this external appearance, this notion of self, maybe it is just a costume. We're apes that like to dress up in costumes. Maybe there is no authentic notion of a self. There's only the costumes that we put on, right? There's only prefabricated identities and fashions and personae that we adopt as necessary. And maybe you say there's no freedom in that. Where's the free self? What about the real me who I have yet to discover, you know? Yeah, maybe that person is in there and maybe they're not. Maybe yourself is the decisions you make about the costumes that you put on, or the different personae that you, the faces you actually prepare to meet the faces that you meet. There's some agency and individualism in the way that you construct that, or the way that you at least try to be seen in the way that you want to be seen. And so this is paralyzingly terrifying. There's no self. Who am I? But on the other hand, it's freeing. It's absolute liberation and freedom. Once you understand those boxes, they cease to be oppressive in quite the same way. You can make decisions, right? And again, maybe the sum total of yourself is the decisions that you've made, the persona that you've constructed, the costumes that you at any given time choose to put on to present to that societal world. And maybe yourself is locked down in there somewhere, right? A cogent, holistic self, but I'm not sure about that. After 50 years, I'm still bumping into the wall, wondering about that one. So anyway, hopefully that's an inspirational note. But like Dollhouse, it's double-edged. It's terrifying to have no self, and it's freeing to know that you can construct yourself possibly however the hell you want, right? And maybe that's about as far as freedom, this fancy human concept, extends, because we know that absolute freedom is just not true. We're trapped in the meat husk, for starters. Anyway, oh, I'm getting attacked with more information here. Okay, good. Anyway, So go out there and construct yourself as you see fit and feel free about it. But in the meantime, try and get this work to me. If you're having any issues, please email me or call me with your concerns, right? But I would like you please again today to email me with the answer to those 2 questions that I included in the do now on the agenda. And as far as work, again, try and get me that essay by Sunday, or Monday's fine too. Again, we're not even really counting anything late, but just for my personal schedule so I can look at the stuff and get you feedback in a timely fashion. I'm trying to keep some semblance of structure, because otherwise it's just an ocean of time, undifferentiated and unstructured, and that's kind of scary too. All right. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Don't work too hard. Let me know. Please do send me an email today or tomorrow. Just let me know who's out there. Okay. Take it easy.